Good afternoon, everybody. My name is miahtheking, and remember, money can't buy happiness, but it can buy video games, which is pretty much the same thing. Now, today we're taking a look at a game just released on Steam called One Military Camp, a base building management simulation game where you basically build your own military camp, recruit the best guys and girls, and then send them off to become special forces or something. This game was released in early access and is currently selling for $25 American. Developed by Abbylight Barcelona and published by Abbylight Studios. So, I hope I'm saying that right, by the way. Anyway, let's take a look at this game and find out if it's worth our time and money. Now, one thing you're going to learn real quick is how similar this game is to others in the genre, like 2 Point Hospital. It's a lot like that. It's got the simulation management aspect, but it's goofy, colorful, and attempts to make you laugh. Basically, in this game, the evil General Dragan, yes, his name is Dragan, but spelled with 2 A's. Anyway, he's some kind of bad guy, and he's taken over almost the whole country, except for this tiny little section which you are now in control of. Train some troops, give them specialties, and then send them off on spec ops missions to help the people of the country and take some of those territories back. And eventually defeat Dragan and yada yada yada, you know, slay the dragon. And that's it for the story. Now, as always, let's go into the good and the bad, followed by my final thoughts. Up first for the positives is the graphics. Now, at first I wasn't even thinking about talking about them. I was thinking it was going to be a bit cartoonish and wouldn't have much to say. However, when I actually got into the game, I was smacked straight in the face with details. I mean, there is so much attention to detail here, it's crazy. The contrast and the colors and the specifics of every little thing all hit me at once, and I was immediately impressed. Everything looks exactly how you want it to look, and then some, so I had to make mention of it. Next is the sound effects and partial voice acting. It has some voice acting, that's what I mean by partial, and from what's there, it sounds pretty good. You'll have this drill instructor, and he doesn't really say anything, he just makes grunting noises, but then you've got the troops on the game that you're controlling and telling what to do. They actually do talk. And it, sounds pretty good. The music fits the theme perfectly, and the other sound effects are awesome as well. I mean, just listen to these gunshot sounds. So, overall, the sound effects and partial voice acting and music all fit perfectly and really help make the game more playable and enjoyable. Next up for the positives is the gameplay. Now, obviously, they do the things that you'd expect, like in making sure you've got food, shelter, and entertainment, relaxation for your little peons. But then they go a step further. But, you know what? Hang on. We'll go into that later. For now, let me just explain what's actually here. So, you're building a training camp, which means you need to build a barracks for your recruits to live in, a chow hall for them to eat, a rec room for them to relax, that kind of stuff. Then you've got stat training buildings for speed, accuracy, strength, intelligence, and maybe some more that I've missed or forgotten. Once their skill in that particular stat is high enough, you can then send them to a specialty building like comms operator, artillery specialist, infantry, and so on. After they get this specialization, they'll train in there from now on rather than those previous buildings you have them training in, and you can send these specialists out on missions across the country, liberating places from evil, fire-breathing dragon. So, without the right specialist, you can't do the mission. A little like Evil Genius the game, so that's basically all the gameplay. But now, on to the step further that I was talking about earlier. The way they do the gameplay here is unique and interesting, and honestly, it's quality of life stuff that we gamers really appreciate. Such things as having a different grid building section for lamps, like you can build lamps on street corners rather than having them take up a whole square somewhere. This is super nice, so your place can look good and still function well. They have a resource management kind of function, like you're going to need food for the chow hall, so you need a food warehouse and a food supplier that you can buy from and stock up your warehouse with. And it's the same for fuel, which you use for energy, ammo for training, medicine for your infirmary, and so on and so forth. You got the maintenance guys who clean, repair, and restock all your buildings, and then they go even further by making it so that these citizens who are not training to become soldiers don't have to sleep in the barracks with the soldiers. So you've got your maintenance workers, you've got your cooks, you've got your scientists. They aren't troops, they're not going to sleep in the barracks, you can build them their own private housing, since technically they're not part of your military and they'll live there. Basically, it makes a lot of sense and works really well. In fact, the whole simulation management gameplay is streamlined and user-friendly in a good way, to helping you have the most relaxing, enjoyable gameplay experience that also happens to make sense while you're playing. It's just really nice, and I love it, and that's why I wanted to talk about it. Next up is the tutorial. It's pretty good. It's funny, it's working within the story, it's teaching you what you need to know in a simple, easy to understand, and brief way. I had no issues learning how to play or what did what, and that was great considering what kind of game it is that I'm playing. You know how it is. If a tutorial is involved, I just got to mention it somehow, so that's why that's here. So many games either not giving us ones or giving us awful ones that I just got to bring attention to all of them now. And last but not least is the price. Yes, I know, $25 is a bit pricey, especially for me right now. I mean, I got a lot of personal financial things happening in real life. But the point is, for everything you're getting here, it's actually a really decent price. I mean, this game will probably take me several days of playing all day, if not a week to complete it. Now, I don't know how many hours that'll end up being. Plus the voice acting, the quality of life aspects, the gameplay, the unique dynamic, the graphics. I mean, to be completely honest, I was against this price tag at first for a simple simulation game like this, but after playing it for an hour, all I can say is that the price tag is perfect for this. Maybe a bit undercharged, honestly. I mean, if this game was $30, I wouldn't even care considering everything that's here. Alright, that's all I got for the positives. Up next, we're going into the negatives, but before we do that, would you all mind helping me out, please? You see, for small YouTubers, it's really hard for us to get anywhere or make any progress without serious help from the community. You guys out there sharing my video, hitting the like button, contributing to my subscriber count, and leaving me lots of comments really helps my video be seen by more people, which gets the word out. And I would really appreciate it if you guys and girls out there could help me out by supporting me. They really do help a lot more than you think. Thanks. Now on to the negatives. Up first is the stability. On several occasions, my frame rate would drop, my game would freeze, or I'd run into other bugs, like this one. Now, I'm not sure what's going on or why they're doing this, but they are. And it's a bit frustrating when I'm trying to play the game that they just freeze like this for no apparent reason. Now, I know the game is early access, and it doesn't have any real game-breaking bugs at time of recording, and this particular bug did fix itself upon reloading, but still, know that going into the game, you'll probably run into a few bugs and glitches. Another negative is the user interface. In some places it's fine, but in others it's a bit confusing, and the characters sometimes just do things on their own, which is okay, I guess, but it can be a bit confusing and annoying when you're trying to manage everything and yet you can't figure out where your dude is, just to find out that he's a night shift guy, so he's sleeping during the day. I didn't put him on night shift, it didn't say anything about that when I was hiring him, so, he just did it himself. Also, the UI seems to have almost too much information without enough pop-up tooltips to explain the little finite details. I'd like to know what this is or what that is when hovering over it, but it doesn't do that on every little thing, so I'm just having to guess half the time. So the UI is a bit messy, confusing, and maybe just unfinished. But other than those two things, I can't really figure out what else could be considered bad here. Like, I'm really trying to nitpick. And hell, both of those things can be explained away by the fact that it's early access and they'll most likely be updated and fixed before long. I guess the biggest complaint really is that it's early access and it's not finished, so it's going to be missing content. But when I was playing, it didn't even feel like an early access game. It felt like it was finished, and I was having a blast. I'm not going to say any more, just go out and buy it. It's fun, it's original, it's interesting, and it's very well made. I'd highly recommend anyone who's even slightly interested to go check it out and give it a play. I'm probably going to be getting on and off this game throughout the next week, and I'm really enjoying myself, and I want to continue enjoying myself. So yeah, go play it. It's great. Well, that's all I got for this video, everybody. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you have any questions or concerns, please let me know in the comments down below. I can't wait to see you all again on my next adventure, and until then, I bid you all farewell.